Great to be with you and you join in live. And I say, hey, what a gift today is. The present day, this present now is when we get to play without the frown. It is true, you are the one you've been waiting for, and so I want to burn some Palo Santo to clear the air and stop singing there. I hope you're well, seriously. And Palo Santo, as you may know, is great for both clearing the air and also replacing what was cleared with an intention. So, as we round out another insane year, I would love to know what you are willing to accept in its place. And I have a pretty big gift to share with you, not in that box, but in a few days, in a week, in fact, next Sunday, December 26th, at 10:10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I am going to be coming to you live and inviting you to join me as well on Zoom. You can get the details on my meetup group, Peaceful Inner Warriors United. And we're going to be unboxing the BS. So, dropping the walls on boxes of BS as an unboxing day special. And so, at this festive time of year when things are changing for so many, it's time for us to come together to unbox ourselves by prioritizing respect, healthy boundaries, and higher standards of expectation. So, you've heard that we teach people how to treat us. Well, we must also keep in mind that how we treat ourselves is a reflection of how we treat others. So, actually, that was in reverse. How we treat others is a reflection of how we treat ourselves. I am reading from the meetup group description. So I don't generally read as I go. I am more in the flow, and that's just how I go. But if you would like to join on next Sunday, what I felt is that after the insanity of this past year slash two, with all of the ways that divide and conquer have been used to keep us feeling safely separate from one another, and culturally, cult you rally with, accepted BS, belief systems, are making it so that ones who are in fear, full of it, of fear, are keeping themselves separated from those who are not and will not participate in the fearful narrative. Essentially, there is changed circumstances on both sides that are difficult to swallow because this whole thing is just so wrong on so many levels. And so, what I wanted to do was make that next Sunday at 10:10 a.m. Eastern, you can join me for that unboxing day special where we're going to touch on the sacred sojourn of the soul, which is the hero's journey from a soulful perspective that I have written about in the book that rewrote me before the world gets to see the version this me will eventually finish. But I have not, because what that experience of writing it brought me to the awareness of being able to see with real eyes, to have realized that we always return back where we started knowing it for the first time, because we have different eyes based on what we've been through to see lies from a different perspective. For what used to be oblivious then becomes obvious because we saw the lies and we were willing to bring love to the situation. And that is how and why respect, boundaries, and higher standards of expectation and self image is so important, and why knowing how to correct our proper standing as men and women in our private capacity with all rights reserved at all times is such a fundamental piece in the whole journey. And that's really what it brought me to the understanding of, so that I stand under the truth of who and whose I am without needing to put the creator in a box, which is a word that makes you maybe feel like I'm talking about something different from you when I'm saying source, creator, God, whatever you want to say is the thing that created all of it. It is the box, it's outside of the box, it's inside of the box, and it's just the words that make us feel like we're talking about something different. And so that's what we're going to be talking about next Sunday at 10:10 a.m. Eastern, which I love that it is the final Sunday in this year, where the first 6 months of it, I was actually hosting sacred self compassion services on Sundays at 10:10 a.m. And I stopped in the summer as I recalibrated and restructured my own perspective and really stepped back from all the freedom movement involvement that I was giving my time, energy, effort, attention, and money to. Less money, but the others for sure, in terms of Sunday nights, Tuesday nights, Fridays. I was giving a lot of energy to fighting for freedom and connecting with leaders. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but what I found is what I knew in the beginning, which is that if we fight fire with fire, we get more fire. And what we need to do, I believe, is create a stronger vision that we can focus our energy onto instead of fighting against that which is being done to us, which puts us into a lower perspective as the victim, and can instead put us into an empowered space of being able to know what we're going towards. So that way it's safer for those who are full of fear to be able to draw near and say, okay, you got a fire in you, and I'm missing that because this is a direct attack on will, even though that's not how it's being expressed. And now I really want to know how to get lit up again and live fully too, because evil is just live backwards. And so when we get back to building a vision that we can move toward, then we allow others to be able to safely transition and see the truth as to the reality of things, which is realistic evidence appearing legit in tomorrow's yesterday, that is going on and is at play, that is very dangerous for those who are in fear and just feel that those who see it are just fighting, which doesn't feel safe either. And so, really, having this clear vision starts with the vision we have for ourselves and our own self image as individuals, as men and women in our private capacity with all rights reserved, which when we correct our standing and stop being a status, which is what the public sphere has us be. And that's the interface that we use, such as this account that I am offering this insight to you through. That's the interface, which is in the public domain and could be taken away from myself, the woman, who is in front of this camera, right? The public uses statuses, whereas men and women stand with our feet and legs if we're so blessed as to be able to. And that is what we must get back to. And I have learned a tremendous amount in the 6+ months that I have been not just fighting for freedom, but advocating and enforcing my rights as a woman in my private capacity with all rights reserved, having claimed the right to be able to have expressed in a public setting while maintaining my standing as a private woman. And who is willing to take the stand and say that I wasn't in my private capacity on the day that I took the stage and shared the message that I've been sharing all along, and even got locked up under the Mental Health Act in 2019 because I said the system's corrupt and they're in on it to the police, I said, which I wouldn't recommend specifically. But then there are men and women serving in the position of officers and government officials who have traded everything in order to get there. And it's too costly for them to give that up, which is why the suicide rates are so high in those professions. Yes, the PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder, is a big component of the suicide rates and the mental health issues. But the bigger thing is that when you wake up to the lies and you don't have a safer alternative to move towards that is full of hope, then you don't feel like you have anywhere to go. And especially if you've joined the big boys club and then find out that the big boys club is super corrupt, and then you have to lose everything in order to not be part of that, and then you can't speak it because your oath was for secrecy, that you're not allowed to reveal the secrets that you learned on the inside of the beast. It's just absolutely insane, which is doing the same thing over again, expecting different results, which I don't believe that we can afford to do any longer. So, with all of that being said, I'd love for you to come and drop the walls on the BS with me on Sunday, December 26th at 10:10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go to Meetup, Peaceful Inner Warriors United, and that's the group where you'll be able to find that information, as well as the offering that Jared Wade with Mad Hatter's Music and I will be hosting on December 22nd at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is for album 22.2, which is a music project that we are working on to harmonize humanity with an extra E for the energy that we choose to intentionally direct towards what we wish to create with the new orderly world that is not the NWO that is planning things that we need not give our attention to any longer because it does not serve you or I, only the ones at the top of the hierarchy in the public. And then the ones that are at the top stay in their private because they know the rules. And it's not in our best interest to remain in the public. Because think about it, tax season is coming up, right? And this is going to be a controversial one, but you know that I do it anyway. And basically, tax season, if you agree to be a taxpayer, that is a status. What if you chose to be a man or woman that pays tax? Which, even that, if you look into the Income Tax Act, it actually expired in the 60s with the War Measures Act, which was why it came out in the first place. It's just the people got used to doing it, and so then they continued doing it. It's like in the grocery stores where people line up in the center of the in the center of the or the center of the store because they think that they're supposed to be told where to go or that you find the shortest line. But it's like that rule changed. They just didn't tell anybody specifically. It was just expected that to just go to the till that you're going to check out at. But then everybody's too afraid to step out of the line in order to do what we know that we're supposed to do because it's common sense, except for common sense is rarely common practice now. And so you line up in the center of the store, and then the cashier's, come on, get over here, hurry up, right? And you just thought you were following the rules that were no longer rules. And that's kind of like Income Tax Act. And if you actually choose not to pay income tax or participate in the system that ended, but you don't claim your rights, then you're still deemed a taxpayer with outstanding owings, right? But if you correct your status and move into your private capacity, then you're a man or woman that no longer pays taxes because it's actually not required. Just like in the corporations, which is the private sector of the public domain, when all of the mandatory policies came out about getting shot or not for the ones that worked for the corporations, the corps with an extra E for the dead entity that we then give our life force and source to in order to pay for the lifestyle it affords us, except we also, acting on behalf of the corpse, then assume liabilities for it when we sign on behalf of it because we're becoming half of it. And in the corporations, that The only requirement was the creation of the policy. Everything else was a recommendation in it. Just like at the grocery store when you line up in the center because that was what was recommended to keep things orderly. Except for with the corporations, they didn't have time to deal with it themselves, and we've been accustomed to putting our power outside of ourselves by hiring professionals. And so then ones who were already bought out by the governmental controllers, they told the consultants what to do, and the consultants made the recommendations for the corporations become requirements. And then the men and women that work for the corporation, signing on behalf of the corporations, assume liability for then coercing men and women to jeopardize their health and safety by taking into them something that is experimental, that is literally in studies and trials until 2023, and others longer because they haven't been around long enough for the trials to actually have been completed. And we're going to leave that one because it's just too big. But the point is that recommendations and requirements are different. And when we actually remember that and realize the power we have when we remain in our private capacity, acting in a public position, we are able to maintain greater autonomy and choice when we maintain our private standing, not status. And that is a very different dynamic and paradigm, which is a belief system of related beliefs, BS, that then all work together to reinforce one another. So that is what we're going to more so focus on next Sunday at 10:10 with the unboxing special day. And on the 22nd of December at 9:30 a.m., we're going to be focusing on the music that can harmonize humanity and help with creating the vision for the new orderly world that we came here to herald in. And to herald something in is to be the messenger, to bring in that which has not existed before in order for then it to come into existence because we brought it to life. We are powerful co-creators of our reality. We must be mindful of the real estate, energetic state. The real estate is in between our ears. Our mind is so significant because once we're 7 and above, we have a conscious mind to accept, neglect, or reject ideas. But we cannot let the thinking mind of our consciousness alone make our decisions because we must drop it down and connect it with the heart, which is the subconscious, the feeling mind, which is what stores all of the ideas that then were repeated enough to then become belief systems within the subconscious. And then that feeling is how, when we actually reconnect with our intuition, the teacher our soul hired ahead of time to guide us through this life, when we reconnect with our intuition and we see how what already exists within the subconscious serves us, then we can feel truth because truth is resonant. And when we feel truth and we find that what is inside of us, because we accepted something that was not in our best interest under the guise and false guidance that it was, then we can finally feel it. We can breathe ourselves back into the present, present, now moment. And then we can align the mind and the heart in order to activate the will of our willpower, which are the lower 3 chakras, which are the energetic vortexes or energy centers that really help us bring to life the inspired ideas and then also feel our way through life without jeopardizing our own respect. Because that is ultimately what is on the table right now with the choices that we are making. Are we selling out ourselves and our souls for the sake of profits? Profits over people is the model of the old paradigm, and people over profits is the way of the new orderly world that we are building together. So the album 22.2 project we've extended now to July 22nd, which will be the 1 year anniversary from when album 22 launched, which you can find at album22.com. And there's 22 songs from artists from around the globe that contributed to that album. And now we're doing it again. And I am so looking forward to seeing which players raise their hands and participate this time. And so each month on the 22nd, we are gathering. And in the new year, we're going to have more structure in terms of what these monthly meetings are actually focused on. Eric Vasquez and I co hosted a meeting last month on sound frequencies and how to actually change the set tone from 440 hertz, which is actually destructive, to 432, which is healing and helpful. Though yesterday a friend shared a video with me that said 432 is not one of the numbers that's on the chart. So I need to look into even that, because maybe it's just more BS. But 444 was what he was saying is the hertz that is healing and helpful. And so I'm going to look into that, see if I can track him down, and then get more information from the one that's putting it out so that I don't have to go down the rabbit holes that he did in order to get what he got, to be able to share it, because I feel like we don't have to be experts in everything. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill says that. We don't need to have all of the specialized knowledge. We just have to have access to the ones that do. So I'm going to find out more information about this 432, 444 hertz experience, but 440 hertz, it actually is just, it's not destructive or devastating, which are the words that come to mind to use, but it's damaging because every note has a different calibration, which means that the energetic system, which naturally seeks resonance and alignment with the vibes in its space, which is why we will oftentimes change our own emotional state in order to harmonize with that which is around us. At 440 hertz, we have to recalibrate every note that changes, which is why it then opens us up to astral entities and different things that we can't see, but that are there nonetheless. 2222, I say. So that is the message that I really wanted to share today. You can see that workshop Eric and I did earlier last month on YouTube. I have a playlist called Album 22. So if you go there, you'll be able to see that workshop, and we'll be bringing more information out as we can. And my offer to you is to join if you are a man or woman acting as an artist of any kind that wants to be part of a conscious compilation project that will now be due in July. Please definitely join in on the 22nd at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. And if you are more interested in the sacred sojourn of the soul and how to really move out of the private and claim your right to be in the private, did I say private? Because I meant to say public, into the private, and then stand on the claims that you make through lawful notice. And that whole process, which I've been going through in the summons, in dealing with the summons that my dead entity of my person received for speaking at a rally, then you are welcome to join on December 26th at 10 a.m. when we're going to unbox some of the BS that would keep us feeling safely separate from others and ourselves. Because when we get back to the present now moment where all of our power exists, magic happens. So that is what I wish for you. That is what I wish for me. That is what I wish for our world. Not the www.url. That is where we have vested our energy because of the emphasis on the public, but for us to actually focus on the world that is full of men, women, and children in community. in the present now moment when we can connect and merge heart fields because we're in one another's presence presence, the presense of the sights, sounds, feelings, the tastes, the touch, all of those senses, the five senses, when we actually use them because we connect with people in our midst and we know that when the heart's loving, when that heart field is harmonic, then we are able to naturally strengthen the immune system that keeps us safe. So, as always, a little controversial. I've got a lot more controversial stuff than this to share. I don't know whether it's going to be on the 26th per se, but I have a feeling that with it being Christ Mass, well, it might be coming out sooner than later. So keep your eyes peeled. Much love. Have a good one. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Laura J. Namaste.